Well, good morning. Hope you're having a great day. And welcome back to the Doctor is In podcast and our live back again after a few days of vacation. Rosa, good morning. Mike, some of our regulars are on and we much appreciate that. Nativity, good morning to you. Did anybody miss me? Put your hand up if you missed me. John, hello. Great to have you guys on this morning, okay? Andrea from Niagara Falls and Marin, faithful followers. And again, much appreciated. Noel, how are ya? And Crystal, guys are great. Thanks for coming on. We're going to do question and answer Monday. Catherine, Susan, Beth, and we got some great news behind the news and health news. Al, good morning to you. Yolande, bonjour, and many others. Carrie, good to have you on with us. Dorothy. Oh, Dorothy said we missed you. Okay, Jerry. Good morning, Jerry, from Nouveau Brunswick, and Andrea, Beth, and Patty. Much appreciated. Okay. Jerry and Lexi. Good morning, Lexi. I like that. Okay. Jeanette's on with us this morning. Mike. Okay, back to teaching, Jan. Okay, no, seriously, we got some good stories, or good. Hi, Diane, bonjour, Zian and Jean. Dear friends, we appreciate you guys. Okay, thanks for coming on, guys, and I'll come on afterwards and say hello to you, Chantal and Sandra from Brampton and Marie. Good to have you guys. I mean it. I missed you. I missed you guys. Francis. Okay. Rita. Okay. I'll come on afterwards and say hi to the rest of you. Okay. So let me go through some of the questions that were asked. And don't be shy, guys. Okay. So we will. Okay. We're going to do question. I would think we're going to do question and answer Friday. Okay. So it'll be twice this week for those who are on live. On the podcast will be, of course, a little bit different. Okay, what causes low blood pressure? Good question. Now, let me just say this, okay, because everybody's different. When you talk about blood pressure, generally what they like to see in, 95% of people is 120/80, okay? And I always say, look, the bottom number is the most important number when you look at your blood pressure. And so for some people, normally for them, they're not in that range. They're part of the 5% that come out of that range. And I don't get too uptight about it if they have no symptoms. So symptoms of low blood pressure would be dizziness, lightheadedness, maybe some fatigue, okay? If you got those symptoms, and for some people, that happens when they get up quickly. They call that orthostatic low blood pressure. Just the only time it happens is if they get up quickly. Yeah, of course, you got to be careful. You could fall, you could faint, you could, Now, what can cause low blood pressure is the question, okay? And that was from Lulu. And Lulu, it's a good question. What can cause it? Okay, so remember now, if you're not having any symptoms that I just mentioned, I don't worry about it too much because, if you're taking your blood pressure at the pharmacy or if you have a cuff at home and you're taking it, I'm not too big on overtaking blood pressure. Listen, if you got high blood pressure and you're on, one of the things, by the way, one of the causes of low blood pressure is medication. There's 2 or 3 types of medication that can cause low blood pressure. One of them, obviously, is, when you're taking meds for high blood pressure. So that can be a cause. You know what is a common cause of low blood pressure? Dehydration. Dehydration. Another one is anemia. Anemia. Might even not know you're anemic. And that can give you low blood pressure. Low functioning thyroid might be within normal limits on the blood test, but that can drive your blood pressure down. So these are things, be careful. I always tell people, watch and make sure you're drinking enough water. A lot of people are dehydrated and they don't know it because their thirst mechanism isn't turned on so much, but they have it in other symptoms. Water. Vitamin W is really, really important. So Lulu, good question. Louise is asking, what causes muscle weakness in the biceps? Well, look, if it's just in the biceps, that's weird. If it's sarcopenia, which is a generalized weakness and muscle wasting, that's usually, Louise, a lack of protein in the diet. Protein. Protein, muscles. Protein is king for muscles. And a lot of people don't eat enough protein. They don't eat enough, they think they're eating protein if they're eating soy and this and that, but these are not complete proteins. And a lot of people have muscle weakness. I was looking at a guy the other day and he had, just muscle weakness. And I felt like saying to him, man, you ain't eating enough protein. Now look, I mean exercise too, obviously. But, okay, I mean, if you're only going to get it in your see these pipes right there? In your biceps. Okay. You know what's more important than your biceps? Your triceps. You're going to use your triceps much more than you will your biceps. This is for show. Okay? Biceps are for show. Triceps are for functioning every day. So really, it's important. You know me on vitamin E. I'm big on that. I'm big on resistant exercises. I'm big on weight lifting, including lifting your own weight. Okay? So, good question. Okay. Rakala, okay, I hope I'm saying this right. It says, I have Hashimoto's and have an underactive thyroid. Will join the cast of millions, Rakala. Okay? And she's been on medication since 1999. And I have read that intermittent fasting stresses the adrenals and therefore not good for people with my condition. Actually, there's 2 questions about this. So on intermittent fasting. Well, let me say this, Raquel. Intermittent fasting is very good. The Martin Clinic endorses it. We like it. We recommend it. But you got to make sure you feel good. Now, for some people, intermittent fasting, okay, let me just remind people that are just joining us, intermittent fasting is when you don't eat and it's got to be over 12 hours, okay? So let's say, for example, you stopped eating at 6 o'clock at night and you went to 6 in the next morning without eating. Anytime after that, you are starting to intermittent fast, okay? 12 hours. Now, even better 14 hours, and even better 16 hours, and even better 18 hours in terms of intermittent fasting. Now, some people can't do that. Diabetics, for example, we find, okay, generally diabetics gotta have their breakfast, their bacon and eggs in the morning. But they can intermittent fast, for example, if they stop eating around 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, and then go till, let's say 7, 8 o'clock in the morning and have their breakfast, well, they intermittent fasted. Is that hard on the adrenals? No. It isn't hard on the adrenals. Not generally, okay? Now listen, if you're hypoglycemic, low blood sugar, by the way, that's insulin. I've mentioned this on this program many a times. Hypo or hyperglycemia. Hypo, low blood sugar. Hyper, high blood sugar, are two sides of a coin. They come from the same problem. It's called insulin resistance. So it's not a matter of eating carbs, but some people find they don't do well fasting. Most people do. Some people, even with a little bit of training, a little bit of stretching themselves out a little bit, because they're so used to eating more frequently. When you're eating, this is why the reset, okay? One of the reasons for the reset is when you are eating nutrient-dense foods. The problem is when people don't feel good, they have low blood sugar and whatever, and they fluctuate, plus they got high cortisol, adrenals, they find they have to eat more frequently. They're craving foods. The reset is meant to fix that. It's fasting without fasting. Now, I like if you can implement intermittent fasting anyways, even with the reset, well, good for you. It's only beneficial. Because the idea with the reset is many reasons, but one of the reasons, it fixes your insulin. It fixes insulin resistance. 30 days to fix insulin resistance at the cellular level. Okay? And secondly, remember, as you lower your carbohydrates are coming down, your sugars are coming down, you're not eating any of what I call crappy fuel. Everything that you put in your mouth, you're doing this now. You are replacing crappy fuel with high octane. This is not keto, guys. Don't mistake this for keto. It's not the same. This is only animal products. Eggs, meat, and cheese. EMC, EMC, EMC. And what that does, again, you are having nutrient-dense foods. You're going to the airport, and instead of putting 87 octane in your body, normal food, you are putting in jet fuel into your body. Okay? When you use jet fuel, you'll find, okay, people, like if you read the testimonies of the reset, generally, now, there's always exceptions, guys. When you're dealing with the human body, there's always exceptions. Okay, so just understand that. But generally, when people go on the reset, they find once their body starts taking in that new fuel, they find they're not hungry. They're not craving. So what happens is that you know what? I'm not hungry. I can skip breakfast. Wow. You don't have to do it every day, but if you feel good and you're not hungry, you're eating nutrient-dense food. So is intermittent fasting hard on the adrenals? No. Now, fasting, if you guys have been following me, you know what I think of this. I'm not big on going past. The only time I recommend that you fast for 3 days, if you get a diagnosis of cancer, There is some good research showing that if you do a 3-day fast, only water, coffee. I couldn't do a 3-day fast without coffee. Vitamin C. But just to reset the body completely and eliminate all sugars because of the diagnosis of cancer, that is what I recommend, okay? But generally, I don't like fasting for a long period of time. Now, some people can eat just once a day. They only eat once a day. So that's intermittent fasting. It's a 24-hour fast. They're only eating once a day. And they're perfectly fine with that. Good for you. There's no problem with that. You're shortening your eating window. See, the idea with this, and let me just do a little bit of teaching. Let's say, now I know you guys don't do this, but let's say you had a bowl of oatmeal this morning, okay? Oh, Dr. Martin, I gotta have oatmeal, otherwise I'm not gonna go to the bathroom, okay? I heard that 10,000 times over 46 years, okay? But what happens is that you're squirting a lot of insulin, by the way. Squirt, 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 squirt. What is insulin doing? It's taking sugar from the oatmeal. Oh, doc, there's no sugar added. No, oats turn to sugar rapidly. Even steel cut rapidly turn to sugar. Insulin, what's its job? You guys know this. Insulin's job is say, sugar, the traffic cop, hey, you can't park there in the bloodstream. Come here. Get over here. You're not parking in the bloodstream. Now I'm going to park you somewhere else. You guys know all that about insulin. Okay? You know that about insulin. So the problem with that process is when you have, let's say, oatmeal or a toast or whatever, insulin, you're stopped eating, but insulin has just started to work. When you have a steak, insulin it's the traffic cop sitting there with no traffic. It doesn't have anything to do. You have bacon and eggs. The cop is sitting there, the insulin going, I wish there would be some traffic, something to do. I'm bored stiff. But when you have carbs in the morning, that's why I don't like carbohydrates, especially in the morning, is insulin is working. It's getting sugar out of the bloodstream from what you ate and parking it in the liver, in the muscles, and making fat cells. And then guess what? Because insulin, if you put sugar in your bloodstream, insulin's job is not only to take it out and park it, it is also to get out, sugar, come here. What goes up must come down. And now you're hungry again because your blood sugars have plummeted because you weren't eating protein and fat. You were eating carbohydrates. That's how your body works, guys. And this is why you had the fluctuations in blood sugar. What does that give you? Oh, I'm starved. I'm craving again. I'm hungry. When you have hypoglycemia or low blood sugar and you need to eat frequently, you can correct it. How? By eating the right foods. That's how your body works. Okay? Does it stress you? It'll only stress you if you are not metabolically well. So it's a very good question, Rakala. Yeah, if you're not metabolically well, your blood sugars can plummet, give you stress for cortisol, and cortisol raises your blood sugar. It's true. But you can fix this with the reset. You can literally fix this process, and then intermittent fasting should not bother you. Okay, thank you very much. Now look at Christiane. She's saying early research has found that intermittent fasting may reduce the risk of diabetes. Yep. Cancer and heart disease. Yep. Yeah, I like intermittent fasting. Martin Clinic is all for it. But Rumsey, now, to be honest, I didn't look this up. Is this a Dr. Rumsey? Okay, because honestly, I haven't heard of him. Now, maybe it's because I'm having a senior moment. But anyway, it doesn't matter. I'll go look it up afterwards. I didn't look it up before. Said depriving yourself of food for an extended period of time can increase levels of cortisol. So, Christiane, it's the same question. Very good. Is this true? Yes and no. Again, if you're metabolically unwell, if your hormones are not doing well, you're out of balance, you're out of whack, and yeah, it's true. Intermittent. I wouldn't start with intermittent fasting. I wouldn't. I would start with the reset. Get your body's adrenals, get your body's estrogen, get your body's thyroid, get your body's insulin, fix that. It's amazing what happens. But it's a good question, because don't start with intermittent fasting. I don't recommend that. I recommend, if you're out of whack and you know it, you know it. Hi, doc, I don't feel good. Well, you're out of whack. If you don't feel good, there's a reason for it. It's usually in my Bermuda Triangle. Your thyroid, your ovaries, men, your testes, your low testosterone, adrenals, and especially insulin, which is in the middle of the Bermuda Triangle. It comes from your pancreas, and insulin is a food hormone. I'm telling you, folks, 99% of the problems, well, if you include the gut in there too, come from the Bermuda Triangle. As we state in the Martin Clinic, the unholy trinity between the thyroid, the ovaries, and the adrenals. Okay? Very, very good questions. Okay. So Olga is asking, can Dr. Martin discuss the benefits of the reset for MS? Well, yes, because the reset helps. MS is leaky gut. Why? It's autoimmune. Will the reset help? Yep, the reset helps. Okay? Remember what they find in the brain of MS, okay, and Parkinson, very similar. Yeast travels up to the brain, it crosses the blood-brain barrier. So, you know what I'm saying is fix the gut, fix the brain. MS. Now, I know there's other factors like low levels of vitamin D usually, and those are factors. You know me on vitamin D. I'm very big on that. But MS, start with the reset. And I love probiotics. And I love Navitol because it crosses the blood-brain barrier and it increases your nitric oxide. And other factors. Okay, and I'm high on high DH oil. The brain, regenerate the brain. The brain is made up of DHA. 20% of your brain is DHA. A long chain fatty acid that is found in what? In the animal kingdom. Okay, good question. Okay, Olga. Joanne, is it possible to get back the pigmentation I've lost in my skin with vitiligo? Maybe. I've seen it happen. It's rare that it comes back. It usually does improve. Leaky gut, leaky skin. Leaky gut, leaky skin. Fix the leaky gut. No more yeast. That is very important. It's the third army invasion of fungal, and I'm telling you, that's a big, big factor. Look for low levels of vitamin D. Can be another factor, okay? Can it come back? Well, it's rare if it comes back completely, okay? But it's worth doing, okay? Now, this is from an anonymous, and you can see when this says, my 15-year-old son has extremely large bowel movements. Okay? Why? You want to have large bowel movements? Eat carbs. It just shows you how much waste there is. Now, for some it's different than others, but seriously, guys, you know what? It's one of the complaints of the reset. You know, I've had people tell me, well, doc, I'm constipated. I said, are you in pain? No, but I'm not going to the bathroom twice a day. My stool is a lot. I know, but you're not wasting anything. Remember, what's in the toilet is waste. Your body didn't need it. When you're eating the right foods, you're not going to go like you used to go. And you know what? So what? Now, I don't want you never to go to the bathroom, okay? Please don't misquote me. All I'm saying is your stool, okay? It's garbage. Garbage in, garbage out. When you eat a lot of carbohydrates, you're going to have a big stool. Oh, look at that. I had a big stool. Isn't that wonderful? Nah, not so much. Not so much. We got brainwashed in the 1950s. It's even after that. Sorry, guys. Let's say 1960s, 1970s. You know, I'm old enough to tell you these stories. I watched the food industry do this to people. And they took it hook, line, and sinker. Fiber. Fiber, fiber. You need fiber. You see, bacon and eggs, they don't have fiber. Our cereals have fiber. Fiber, you can't live without it. All brand. All brand. Don't eat bacon and eggs. Eat all brand. True or false? The whole idea of eating all brand was for you to go to the bathroom. True or false? True. And it was a marketing campaign. And then all of a sudden, I'm not going to the bathroom like I should. I must not be eating enough fiber. I'm not eating enough fiber. You know how many times I heard that in the office? 10,000? We're gonna do a teaching this week because there was a story come out about the gut. I'm gonna do some teaching on it, okay? So just to say this, okay? Large stools, okay, come on, everybody's different, so please don't pigeonhole me and just make me, oh, Dr. Martin said if you have large, some people have larger stools than other people, and I'm not too worried about that. But generally, okay, I'm talking in generalities. This kid is eating way too many carbs. Your body's smart, guys. You eat crappy carbohydrates, guess what? Your body goes, there's not a lot of nutrition in that, man. Let's send it into the toilet where it belongs. Think about that for a minute. Your body's not stupid, Your body's very smart. Now, I don't want you to be constipated. Oh, Dr. Martin, I'm bloated. Well, that's different. That's different. That's true constipation. But this whole idea of going to the bathroom several times a day and, I did a little bit of consulting for a company, and I think I might have told you this story one time. Their whole thing was look in the toilet after you've gone to the bathroom, number 2, and look at your stool and analyze it. Oh, boy. I've never been big on that. Now, look, so you don't want to have blood in your stool. And, sometimes I get patients with parasites and whatever. And I say, well, that's not a bad idea. Just have a quick look. You might see some parasites there. Ooh. Well, your body's smart. Just getting rid of them. Okay, so you know what I'm saying, okay? You know what I'm saying, I think. Because I get in trouble when I talk about this sometimes, okay? What is Dr. Martin's opinion on sodium nitrates? Well, in food, okay? So I get it. Like you'll see bacon with sodium nitrates. So what? That's what I tell people. So what? What does that do to you? Because if you're worried about nitrates, well, then stop eating vegetables. Yeah. Stop eating vegetables because you got a lot of nitrates in vegetables. Oh, I didn't know that. Yeah, look, they use it as part of a preservation of the meat. But is it bad for you? I'm not too convinced. You're going to have to convince me. I know the gurus out there say it is, but it's because they don't like meat. They hate bacon. Poor bacon. It's got such a bad rap. As I've said to you 1,000 times, olive oil, oleic acid. Bacon, oleic acid. 6 fatty acid chains, olive oil, 6 fatty acid chains, bacon. Now, everybody would admit, everybody just about would say, oh, olive oil, that is so stinking good for you. Yeah, but so is bacon, even with the sodium nitrates in it. Now, if you're really worried about that, you can always find bacon without the nitrates in it. But again, you're asking me. I'm going to give you my opinion on it. Nah. I always tell people, when you start talking about nitrates, then stop eating vegetable. And that's one of the reasons that I put you on the reset, is there's no nitrates there. There's no cellulose. Ooh, anyway, good question. I'm glad you're thinking. I want you to think, because when I get to the end, I'm almost at the end, but when I get to the end, I want to talk to you for a minute about what this Mark is going to ask me, and I'll finish with this. Okay? Maybe I'll do it right now. Okay. Dr. Martin, okay, here's what Mark is, he's making a statement rather than a question, but that's all right. Dr. Martin is always talking about science. Yeah, not always, but I do. Where is the science to back his claims that red meat is good for you when the rest of the medical community does not agree? We can't go forward on blind faith. Well, one thing, Mark, good, it's not really a question. It's a statement you make. But first of all, I do not apologize. I believe I am following the real science. You see, science, by the way, too, just by definition, science is observation. And you know what? See this mind up here? I'm open-minded. You might think I'm not, but I am. I read every day. I read studies. I read 30, 40, 50 sometimes studies a day. I'm always reading. I'm always studying, always looking for new information. That's science. But Mark, let me just, look, I understand. I just told you about sodium nitrates. There is a whole, and I call it religion, not science. It started, if you go back, you started with the cereal companies and the food industry, and they got lots of money, and the pharmaceutical industry. They're the two biggest industries, and then, of course, social media. But the two big industries that affect the world like you have no idea is the pharmaceutical and the food industry, Mark. And what I tell people, is this, okay? Bring me a piece, and you know what? I will actually put this chart back on the private Facebook group afterwards, okay? I'll put this chart back up there. I think I put it up there a couple of weeks ago. I'll put the chart back up. You know what they do? They take 100 grams of spinach and 100 grams of beef. 100 grams of spinach, 100 grams of beef. You want to know what science is, Mark? Is what's in the beef and what's in spinach. There's no comparison. But the health gurus, 99% of them will tell you this, that spinach is better than beef. True or false? True. But it's not science. It's not science. Because all you have to do is take the nutritional value. Let me get this here. I got it right here. Let me get this out. I think I have it in front of me here. Here's the chart. I do. I have it in front of me. All your B vitamins. You think they're in the plant kingdom? Not enough for a mouse. B12, Mark. B12. Your body will not do well without B12. Your brain won't do well without B12. Your muscles won't do well without your B12. Your nerves won't do well without B12. And B12 is found in beef, steak, vitamin S. It's not found in the plant kingdom. Mice can't live on B12 from plants because it's not in there. Now, is that science or is that propaganda? It's science. That's just the facts, okay? B12, all your B vitamins. I always tell people, what are you taking the B complex for? Eat it. Eat your B vitamins. Now look, B12, it's a finicky vitamin. Some people need to supplement. Do you know what? 80% of the population is low in B12. You know why? Because they drank the Kool-Aid. 80% of the population in North America are low in B12 because they drink the Kool-Aid of vegetables are better for you than meat. And 99% of the guys that I went to school with, I got a PhD in nutrition. And there's not that many of us in Canada that have the doctorate in nutrition and a doctorate in natural medicine, which takes 4,000 hours of post-secondary education. That's me. But there's about 30 of us in Canada right now, like that. 99% of those. It's religion, Mark. It's not science. You just have to analyze food. We're trained to analyze food. And yeah, but then if enough people say it, it must be true. That's not true. That's not science. It's not science. Just because people say it, I don't care who says it. I want to analyze. If you think I'm wrong, come with me with data. Not with, red meat's bad for... Red meat is carcinogenic. Says who? Says the gurus who don't like meat. Who are into climate change. You watch. They're going to tax our meat. It's coming to a theater near you. They're going to want to get the farmer and get him out of business. They'll only allow them to grow vegetables. And there'll be no, if they could get rid of cows, they'd get rid of cows. It's true or false, guys? It's true. But that's not science. So, Mark, I'm glad you didn't ask the question. You made a statement. You seem kind of skeptical. That's all right. Scientists should be skeptical. By nature, they should be. You know what bugs me? Okay? By the way, you know what bugs me? Is how little skepticism there has been over this virus that we live with. I'm not saying it's not true. Don't misquote me. All I'm saying is, where is the media? Why aren't they doing their job? They should be skeptical. When a politician says anything, since when did they listen to politicians? The media is meant to be skeptics. Scientists should be skeptics. You tell me something, I'm going to be skeptical. Let me go look into it. Okay? So, again, bring me the best vegetable you can bring. Spinach? Popeye got muscles with spinach? Popeye was lying. Popeye wasn't telling the truth. Popeye was a cartoon. It wasn't true. You don't get big muscles with spinach. That's an impossibility. There's not enough protein to get big muscles with spinach. Popeye, he didn't want to tell you, but he was eating steak, man. He was eating eggs, meat, and cheese. That's what Popeye was eating. And guys, that's science. I'm sorry, but that's science. You got cancer? Then eat steak, not carbs, not anything compared to steak. And I know it goes against the grain, but I'm telling you guys, now you can talk to me. I know, maybe there's hormones, but okay, I get that part too. But guys, I'm talking again in generalities of science. Okay, I'm way over time. I didn't get to all the questions, but I will answer them, the rest of them on Friday. Okay, so guys, listen. I like questions. I'm controversial, but that's all right, isn't it? Am I right? Yep. Anyways, you guys know me anyways, okay? I love you guys, okay? I love you guys. And I mean that. I'm glad to be back on, okay, after a few days of rest. It wasn't rest. I'm always getting rest, okay? And we'll talk to you tomorrow, Lord willing. Love ya.